B'rshut Kal HaKadosh, everybody welcome. Be'ezrat Hashem. May Hashem give us bracha, tzlacha, briyut, arbe d'siyat d'shmaya. So we're able to cling to Hashem, serve Him with the happiness and the joy. Be'ezrat Hashem yitbarach. We're going to say bracha, tzlacha, Yaakov ben Asher. May Hashem bless him with all the blessings of the Torah. We're going to say in a sheket, quietly. וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. גם ברכה הצלחה לשירס דייקר. בעזרת השם, שתצליחים בכל דרככם. וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. לעילוי נשמת רומי רחמים בן הלוי בן נלה מזל. So we continue with our Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot says following. Chazal explained to us in chapter 3, Mishnah 13. Maaserot siyak le'osher. A person gives maaser. We learn also from the Ahavat Chesed, from the Chafetz Chaim. The Chazal now expands on us and expand and telling us how a person able to become rich. What's the point of having richness? Not about point, how to get rich. מסופר על שני עשירים מופלגים ראובן ושמעון שישבו בסעודת המשתה של יום הפורים. אכלו ושתו ושמחו. Says two friends, Shimon and Reuven, sitting, eating, drinking, the party of the Purim. הנה בדרך כלל אין עשירים אוהבים לספר את הדהגיעו לאושרם. Our sages explain, usually the rich people does not love to talk about how they became rich. אך הגיע לאושרם. אך בשעת סעודה משתה נכנס יין יצא סוד. But when they start drinking wine or any alcohol, what happens? Enters the wine, comes out the secrets. קם ראובן להתחיל לספר לאומר כל אשראי בו להודות לערב המקומי רב פלוני. Reuben says something beautiful. Says, listen, I went one day in a shul and I heard the rabbi that's speaking. That's what the Reuben says. The rabbi starts speaking. And he talked about Darshato, talked about in a shiur, in a lecture. שמעתי שהיה אומר על פי גמרא בבא מציעא. He talks about the Gemara in Baba Metzia in page 59. Ukiru linashaychu ki hayhu ditat'atru. Chazal explains to us שכל המכבד את אשתו מלבישים נעים, מלבושים נעים, בגדי צבעונים, תכשיטים כסף וזהב יקרים, זוכה לאושר גדול. Baba Metzia in the Talmud in page 59 says following. Somebody, a Yidden, a Jewish person, is going to respect his wife with the beautiful clothing, with the beautiful jewels, kesef v'zahav, gold and silver, yikarim, expensive, zoche le'osher gadol. A person able to become big, he become richness. Ani chatai ani maskir hayom. Reuben says following. Today, I did a tshuva. Chatai ani maskir hayom. He says, I made a sin until now. What was the sin? Ki todem ishmad rasha zo, hayta mikametz meod melekanot livushim leishti. Kamtzan. He says, until now, Reuben says, I was cheap. I was not buying for my wife enough clothing, not having enough jewelry. So it says, that's what happens when you forget the language. From that time, Reuben says, I heard the rabbi speaking, I made a tshuva, now from today's day on, נעים יותר כפי יכולתי. He says, from today's date, according to my pocket, according to my salary, I able to spend my wife money the way the Chazal teach us. מכבד אותי בכל כוחי. Not only that, I will give her respect with the full strength. מאז יצלח לי לאושר אושר רב. He says, Reuben following, from that time I became very, very rich. Because the way Chazal says, the way we need to respect the wife is by buying them beautiful clothes. By buying them beautiful jewelry that able to wear. והארובות שמיים נפתחו. He says, Hashem made kindness for me. The goddess of the heaven, or the heavenly pipes was opening that I became so rich. לעת עושר רב, והארובות השמיים נפתחו. להמטיר עליי שפע רב של העושר. And he says, Hashem bless me with so much richness. בכל אשר אני פונה מצליח. He says, everything I touch from the sand becomes gold. תהילות להשם יתברך. He says, I'm very, very much thank you to Hashem יתברך that he says that somebody gives him a respect in his wife, that the Chazal says what means respect, he's going to be rich. ואין שמעון ואמר, גם אני סיבתי עושר בזכות אשר שמעתי מרב המקומי. Now the Shimon comes in and he says, I also became rich that I heard the Rav that spoke one time in a drasha in a shiur. Al pi Gemara, Masechet Ta'anit, page 9. One rabbi spoke about Masechet Baba Metzia, page 59. Another rabbi spoke about Masechet Ta'anit, page 9. Tosafot Sham. Aser tit ashir. A person wants to be rich, make sure he puts it aside 10 to 20%. Osher bishvir, aser bishvir it ashir. Chazal explained to us, you want to become rich, put on aside 10 to 20%. Not on your side, you take from one safe, you put in another, the safe is still in your name. Okay? So, מי נותן מעשר בכל נכסיו רווחת צדקה לעניים? Whoever is going to give. Shimon now saying, he heard the rabbi. One rabbi talked about respecting wife. We said it how to respect. Another rabbi spoke about how to give to the people that he needed. So the Shimon did what the rabbi said. מתעשיר אמיתי בדבריו אמונה שלמה. Because he believed what the Chazal say, he believes what the Toratenu HaKdusha, our holy Torah says. מה הייתם אתם בעין יפה? Then he says from that time on, I gave very, very generously. מכל נכנסי רווחה מאוד מאושר לעניים, ליתומים ולאלמנות. I gave to the widows, I give to the people who need it, I give it to the orphans. מאז נפתחו ארובות שמיים. He says, Hashem bless me, the heavenly pipes, the goddess open to me. והריקו על ברכי עד בלידי באושר מופלג. He says it came to that point where I said, I already don't need the richness. That's how rich he became. ואני חייב לתת תודה לרב. He says, I want to say thank you to the rabbi that gave me this drasha. Shiur. סיבת דרשתי נשיא עשיר גדול. He said, the reason I became rich, if I wasn't for that shiur, that's why I became rich. אבל האמת אגיד שכת אני מתערם עליו. But he says, but I have a problem now with this rabbi. I have a complaint about this rabbi. So he became now rich. Now he has a complaint to the rabbi. What's the complaint? הדרשה אומר באוזניך לכבד את האישה מלבושים תכשיטים. I said, I just heard from you, from Reuben, you're supposed to respect your wife. The Chazal says, what means respect? Buying her beautiful clothes according to your pocket. Jewelry, everything. יותר טובה ונוחה. He says, whatever your rabbi said to you is much greater whatever the rabbi that I went to listen to the shiur. I like your rabbi better than my rabbi. Okay? Why? כי הלא כל מה שאתה מוציא לצורך לבושה כשכל אשר אצלך בביתך. He says, whatever you buy for your wife, is everything stays in the house. Yeah. He never goes outside the house. What a beautiful rabbi. כל פעם שאתה רואה אשתך, each time you see your wife is wearing beautiful clothes or jewelry, נעים תכשיקים יקרים, אתה נהנה. You have a pleasure from it. כי כן אישה על בעלה, when a woman is beautiful, in everything that we just said, he has a chen, which means the beauty. לא כן אני שמעתי רק את הדרשה של המעשר. He says, oh, I heard there's a maaser you need to give. I did not hear the situation of the wife business. אני נותן חון תעפות בכל חודש וחודש. He says, I give a lot of money every month מעשר. מכל נכסי רווחה לעניים. I gave to the people that he needed. ולא נשאר אצלי מאומן מן המעשר. Nothing left. Whatever I have every month, 100K, I give a מעשר, and זהו. Finish the story. I give מעשר, and nothing left every month in a maaser that he gave. לכן חמסי על הרב. He says, I have an open case against the Rav, and I'm upset at the rabbi. I'm upset at the rabbi. That's what the guy said. שלא אמר את הכל הסגולות עושר. He didn't tell me in a drasha, like you guys, some of them just came in the middle of the drasha. He says, he didn't give me all the drasha of segulot, how to become rich. He heard one part, the other guy heard the other part. Okay? בדרשה אחד, שכל אחד יברא לו אשר לא ימצא חן בעיניו לטובתו לאושרו. He says each time when a person listening to the shiur, he's listening only what's good for him in that shiur. Which means whatever he wants to apply. And the Gemara says, sometimes we listen to the shiur, whatever we want to listen. I really did not say these things. But we say to ourselves, no, you said it. No, I didn't. It's your imagination, you're imagining that's what I said. So what do you have? Macharat yom alach Shimon el Rav vayomar lo. Shimon went to the rabbi that told him, listen, you need to give a maaser, and became rich. He became rich. But he has a complaint on the rabbi. Complaint note. Now the Shimon goes to the rabbi. Kadam kol adoni Rav ani modeh lechodo. He says, Rabbi, thank you very much. I'm respecting you. Al drashatov nifloat. He says, because of your drasha, I became rich. Okay? V'amarot batov tam v'dad, al pi ma'amrei rabotenu הקדושים. You explain to us what the Chazal says. ואשתו בזכות שבאתי פעם לדרשה שמעתי את הדברי קודשו, התעשרתי. He says, because I came to the shiur that talks about the maaser, and that's how I became rich. ומצאתי only, אבל יש לי תערומת. He says, but the Shimon says, I have a complaint against you, Rabbi. למה לא הזכרת עוד עצה לאושר? Why you didn't give me another advice how they become rich? כפי שמע אותו חברי ראובן, he says, my friend Reuven, he heard the shiur that you're gonna, whatever he's gonna respect his wife, like Baba Metzia says, whatever the categories how to respect the wife, he becomes rich. You didn't explain to me how to become rich by respecting the wife. ראובן הצע לכבד אשתו לקנות לה מלבושים נאים תכשיטים יקרים. He did everything. Reuven did everything for his wife. That's the way he became rich. Everything stood in the house. Nothing come out of the house. Over here, he says, everything came out of my house, did not went inside my house. But he's still rich. Look, he became rich because a rabbi gave him the advice through the Chachamenu Zichrona Livracha, and he's still coming complaining. Okay? Lidati etza yoter tova. He says, in my opinion, whatever you gave to the Reuven, that advice is much greater, whatever the advice you gave me in a shiur, in a Masechet Ta'anit in page 9. You should have gave me that type of advice, he says. About the wife advice. כי הכל נשאר אצל מכבד את אשתו. He says, everything left in the house, whatever the husband buy for the wife, everything stays, it goes over to the family. תכשיטים מלובשים, ואלו אני צריך לתת את המעשר לעניים. He says, but me, I have to give my maaser to the people that need it, to the widows, to the orphans. Okay? He says, I need to give. Okay? מדי חודש בחודשו, every month. אני נותן חון תעפות מן המעשר רווחי. And he says, I give an amount, it's about above this nature. He makes $1 million, 100K a month. He needs to have a schut. 100K a month.
To give schut?
Yeah, a person needs to have a schut to give. A lot of people, there's a lot of rich people who says they're giving.
Just a maaser.
Huh?
You get rewarded.
Just a maaser. Who says they're giving?
No, you're saying the ability to even give is a schut in itself.
Of course.
Because you get reward for it.
Of course. But he does not have the schut. Okay? ויקם הרב ויבוא לו ספר תהילים. Rav came out and he gave him תהילים. Oh, we all know תהילים. Pasuk 49:17. The Rav comes in and brings him תהילים. What's the תהילים? אל תירא כי יעשיר איש כי ירבה כבוד ביתו, כי לא במותו ייקח הכל. The תהילים says 49:17. You have a respect in your family. אל תירא כי יעשיר. He says, don't be afraid, you're a rich person. כי ירבה כבוד ביתו. I understand you have a lot of respect in your family and you're well-known family, respectful family. כי לא במותו ייקח הכל. He says, when you die, King David says, you're not taking nothing with you. לא ירד אחריו כבודו. He says, your whatever kavod that you're thinking, it's not going to go after you. כוונה עושר שבא בכלל הרבה כבוד ביתו. He says, עושר, the richness came because a lot of respect in the house. ביתו זה אשתו. Our Chazal says, ביתו, which just means the household, is the wife. נקרא בית, a housewife, the wife called ביתו. מכבדה זוכה לעושר. A person respecting his wife, זוכה לעושר. He's going to be rich. Not only rich, he's going to be physical, Rabotai. He's going to be rich, spiritual also. He's going to have a simchat chayim. He's going to have happiness and joy of life. There's nothing better than happiness of joy. Even physical money does not have. But nafshi, which just means with the soul, he has osher v'kavod. He has the richness and he has the respect. Yeah, but that's the speeches. Now I know couples, they're rich, whatever they have. I don't know, rich in your mind, okay, they're financial. But the wife is bringing them to the Gehinom already for 3 months. He says, I don't know what to do. He cannot sleep at nighttime, not during the daytime. Anxiety, he went to the hospital, cardiac arrest, everything.
It's his fault.
Oh, okay. So what happens? Right.
What is this?
That's what the parents said, unfortunately. He said, you're the one who caused it. Okay, besides
Going hanging out with her, clubbing.
That's right.
This, that, beaches, and now you're crying about
Right.
it. You became religious a year ago.
He didn't become religious at all.
Forget about them.
Okay? So what happens? Osher v'akavod. So that's what happened. But they had no tear, both of them crying. Alma, ala shtuyot. Shtuyot, which just means if there's a problem, in most of the cases, there's no problem. That's why you cannot fix it, because there's no problem. Okay? Kasher asa Reuven latzliach leitasher. He says, Reuven, he became rich because he respected his wife. Alti nu mimenu. He says, don't be jealous of him. Tomar tu gamani. Come on, don't say that I would do the same thing like a Reuven did. למה זה אנוכי נותן לאחרים? מעשר כל רווחה. So he says, why should I give my maaser to somebody else where I could give it to my wife? Okay? אל תאמר כן. He says, you should not say this. כי לא במותו ייקח הכל. He says, when you die, you're not going to take anything. כי במותו הכל יישאר כאן. He says, when a person dies, everything stays in this world. אבל אתה שנתת maaser, he says, when you give a maaser, you do a wire transfer. Not through the Chase, not the Bank of America. Sometimes it takes 3 days, fraudulent. Sometimes it's 7 days. It goes yashar, straight to Olam Haba. To Olam Haba. ועושר שלך הוא בחינת פירותיהם בעולם הזה. The richness of yours is just the fruits in this world. אבל הקרן של המצווה צדקה, what about the principle, which just means a person gave a chunk of money, is to have in a share in the world to come. מובטח לך שיהיה בן העולם הבא. He's guaranteed he has עולם הבא. מיודך לך שכר גדול ונצחי בעולם הבא. He says this is the שכר נצחי. נצחי, which just means this is the reward forever. Not over here 70 years, not over here 80 years, not over here 90 years. So that's what the Pirkei Avot said. סייג לאושר, maaser. Maaserot siyag le'osher. Must do a maaser. Do it, but the Yetzer Hara u chazak me'od. Yetzer Hara is very, very strong. When the money comes to the hand and we're separating the maaser, now we became Maran Shulchan Aruch Rabbi Yosef Karo. Now we call 20 dayanim hard not to give. This rabbi says this rabbi says this. When he goes to the mixed wedding, he does not call any rabbi, am I allowed to go or not? When he goes to the beaches, he does not call any rabbi. But when he comes to the mitzvot, he right away becomes posek ador. Okay? This is what we are. This is the truth. This is the truth. The factors. Nedarim siyag leprishut. Neder, a person does neder, he becomes separate from the sin. For example, we're going to say, הנה בדרך כלל ציווה חכמים שאינו ימנע אדם את עצמו אלא מדברים אסור התורה בלבד. A person should only, whatever the Torah says forbidden, that's what's supposed to be forbidden. If a Torah says do not forbid, אל תהיה צדיק הרבה, אל תהיה רשע הרבה. Don't add to the Torah and do not subtract and do not add. So sometimes we see over here, people come in, they go to mikvah 4 o'clock, 2-3 days, then I don't know, I don't even see them. There's nothing. Nobody's judging. But he does not have a pad. He comes in, he does not have a pad. Pad, which just means there is no rules and regulation for him. He does whatever he wanted to do. He wants to be one day Baal Shem Tov, then wants to be Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, then Chas v'Shalom, he wants to be Yerevam ben Avad to do Avodah Zarah. Where is the balance? No balance. Why? No Shulchan Aruch, no rabbi that give him the guidance, and no Gemara. He heard, now he wants to do everything, and he's going to look at you like you are stupid. And whatever he does the best thing in this life. Seen it many times. To the years of a history, seen many times. People coming and going. There's no path for them, a golden path. On the middle. So, ולא יהיה אסור עצמו בשבועות ונדרים. A person should not promise himself or make a shvuah, swearing. דברים המותרים, only does something the Torah allows. וכן אמרו חכמינו ירושלמי. מסכת ירושלמי, פרק ט', chapter 9, הלכה א', לא דייך במה שאסרה תורה עליך, אלא שאתה מוסיף אסור עליך את המותר. He says the Torah already forbidden certain things. And you're going to forbid whatever the Torah already said, more than whatever the Torah said. וכן ביור הרמב"ם, says the following Rambam. Okay? So sometimes a person says, who is Rambam? I could argue with Rambam. Okay? Okay, let's go forward. Or sometimes we say, it does not say in Torah. Like he remembers the pasuk from the Torah. In order for you to say it does not says, Make sure you know the whole Torah. Okay, Rambam says, פרק ג' הלכה דעות, הלכה א'. רק אם אדם רואה שיצרו מתגרב הרע באיזה עניין. If he sees his יצר הרע is keep teasing him, and he teases his יצר הרע, what are you supposed to be doing in this moment? That's what you say yourself, you're making a swear, you're not going to do A, B, C, D. Or Aleph, Bet, Gimel. You're going to swear. Why are you going to swear? Because you want to refrain from יצר הרע coming to the person. יכול לנדור מה צריך לכבוש את יצרו. A person, you could swear, and you could make promises to yourself in order for you to what? To conquer your יצר הרע. וכן הרמב"ם פרק ג' מהלכות נדרים הלכה כ"ג. Same thing Rambam in the הלכות נדרים. Before we spoke about הלכה of דעות. Now we talk about הלכה נדרים. מי שנודר נדרים כדי להתכונן דעתיו לתקן מעשיו הרי זה זריז שמשובח. Rambam says whoever makes a promises and swear, he says he does it fast and quick, הרי זה משובח. Praiseworthy is the man that does this. כיצד? How? What's the prime example? מי היה שוגה ביין? Somebody is getting drunk and forget about when he's getting drunk. He starts screaming, balagan, beating. So like from today's day, what he's going to become? Says from today's day, I'm not drink wine. Except he's going to say Shabbatot, Yamim Tovim. Okay? ואסור היין על עצמו. He forbids himself a wine. No, he's not a Nazir. He says, I'm not drinking wine. That's it. Everywhere he goes, he says, I made a promise, I'm not drinking wine. Why? If you're going to give him a wine, what's going to happen? Hatzala 911. Okay? Child abuse. Huh? No, that was the whole point of having the Torah said to do for you restrictions. There's a reason why the Torah. But the people over here, all of a sudden they want to be Ariya Kadosh. They want to sleep with the floor. And Iraq is Gematria Ben. They want to bring the Shekhinah to themselves. Then after a couple of weeks, you're going to see him in a Chas v'Shalom in Exit 24 in the Grand Central, a psych house. Because he's taking extremists. No path. Okay? Maybe he's going to be Chazan over there. Who knows? Yes. Or rabbi of the community. Okay? Nobody making laugh and making fun. Koyevli, it hurts me. I see these things. I explain to people. They just don't listen. They're thinking they're better than knowing. They know everything. Chazal says, או אסור עליו שכרות, וכן מי שהיה נבהל להון לרודף לשלמונים, ואסור לה לשמאל קבלת מתנות. So a person runs after beautiful things in this world, right? He does anything and everything. So he says, from today's date, I need to stop my horses. Okay? Every case, called mikre begufo. Every case to individual, to its own case. Case by case. מי היה מתגאה ביופי, בשערו ונדר בנזיר? What if a person, all the time, he spends half hour, 1 hour just to make his hair? Okay? So, he says, I'm so beautiful. מתגאה, גאווה, haughtiness. Okay? What are you doing this moment? Opposite. ונדר בנזיר כיוצא בהם, כולם דרך עבודת השם הם. Everything that he does because he wants to separate from his יצר הרע. He works for Hashem. ועל נדרים ביצא אלו אמרו חכמינו, נדרים סייג לפרישות. Neder, a person does a promise. It's a fence for separation. מרן הכסף משנה ציין את דברי רמב"ם, מרן שולחן ערוך. Now it talks about the Rambam, מה שאמרו בנזיר. אמר, מסכת נזיר, page 4b. אמר שמעון הצדיק, Shimon HaTzadik was Anshe HaKnesset HaGdola. Me'amai lo achalti asham nazir. He says, I never ate the doubt of the Nazir, the korban that he needs to bring. Chutz me'adam echad shebo min hadarom. One guy came from the south. Yofe enayim, beautiful eyes. V'tov ro'eh, looking beautiful. V'kutzovatav sedorat taltalim. His hair was curly, was coming down. Amarti lo, Bini, he says, my dear son, Shimon HaTzadik says to this guy, young gentleman, Bini, ma ra'ita l'shached sa'ar na'eh azeh. He says, my dear son, you have such a beautiful hair, now you need to cut it because you took a nazirut upon yourself. Why did you do it? Amali Rebbe, he says the following, the young gentleman, my dear rabbi, Ro'eh hayiti lavi. He says, I was a shepherd working for my father. Halachti l'shov mayim min haber. I went to the well, drawing water. When I look at myself, הסתכלתי בדמותי ברורה שלי, יפה. Wow, he says, what a beautiful man I am. פחזו יצרי בקש לתורדני מן העולם. Yetzer Hara came in, he wants to take share, he wants to completely take away my olam haba. The Yetzer Hara, he says. What is it? To go with another woman. זנות, אמרתי לו, מפני מה אתה מתגאה בעולם שאינו שלך, וסופך להיות רימה ותוליה. He says, I said it to myself. מפני מה אתה מתגאה? He says, why you have such a gaiva? The young gentleman talking to himself. He says, the world is not even yours that you're living. At the end, you're going to be a worm and you're going to be rotten. He says, the reason I'm cutting my hair, for the sake of Hashem. Amati minashakti al roshav. Shimon HaTzadik Amad, stand up and kiss in his forehead. It does not say his forehead, on his head. ואמרתי לו, כמותך ירבו נזירים בישראל. Shimon HaTzadik says, like you should be more and more Nazirim by Israel like you. They're able to separate themselves forever the Yetzer Hara will be attacking them. So from here we learn, ועליך כתוב אמר איש כי יפלי נודר. The Torah talked about you, he says. He right away brought the pasuk from the Torah. The Torah, it says, talks about you. נדר נזיר להזיר להשם. איש לשון חשיבות שנאמר בשמואל. He says when the Torah says ish, לשון חשיבות, the language of importance. When a Nazir talks about ish, he become important. How does he become important? Separating himself. Whatever the Torah says, what it means separating, we just give a prime example. A person is beautiful. Oh, he loves to eat. He goes all over. Problem. כמו שנאמר בשמואל, איש גדול וחשוב. The Torah says, where it says איש, שמואל א', כ"ט, כ"ו, ט"ו, הלא איש אתה פירוש מפורשים, מפרישים, כלומר איש גדול וחשוב, כולם אנשים ראשי בני ישראל המה. And he says you become important man, and you become ish, a man. וכן הייתי במדרש. He says, I saw something in a midrash. פרשה אחרי מות, פרשה כ"ג, עוד י"א. שלושה הם שתקיפים מיצרם, נשבעו לו וגברו עליו. He says, 3 people were captured. Oh, 3 people. The Yetzer Hara was so strong towards them. שלושה הם תקיפים מיצרם, שתקפם יצרם. 3 people all will become the Yetzer Hara. נשבעו ורב עליו, יוסף, דוד ובועז. יוסף, דוד ובועז. יוסף מניין שנאמר, ואיך אעשה הרע הגדולה הזאת וחטאתי לאלוקים. Yosef HaTzadik says, how can I do such a bad thing and I would sin in front of Hashem. Nishba le'etzram ba'elokim. He says, I would promise to Hashem the Yetzer Hara would not able to control me. She'eno oseh hara gdola hazot. He would not do a bad thing for me. That's what the Yosef HaTzadik did. David, minayin, where we learn from David. She'nemar Shmuel, like it says in Shmuel, 1:26-10. Vayomer David chayan Hashem. And David says, Hashem lives. Ki im Hashem igafenu, amar Rabbi Yochanan liyotzro nishba. David HaMelech made a swearing to his Yetzer Hara. His Yetzer Hara would not gonna control him. Shelo yishlach bo yad le'argo. It would not send him to kill him. B'nedarim chet says following. Minayin shenishbaim lekayem mitzvah. How come we have to make a promise or swearing in order for us to do mitzvah? Tehillim, it says following, 109, 106. Nishbati v'kayema. Tehillim says, I made a swearing, I kept my swearing, and I'm able to do. Lishmor mishpati tzedkatecha. Lishmor, to keep, tzidkatecha, mishpatecha, everything I kept of the Torah. Boaz Naminayin, where we learn from the Boaz, Shenemar Ruth, 3:13. Chai ani Hashem, shachach bi ata boker. Boaz says to Ruth, sleep here until the morning. Shekol ata olayla haya yitzro mifateu badvarim va'amar lo. To Boaz said the Yetzer Hara following. Ata panui v'hi pnuya. He says, you are single and she's a single. Ata mevakesh isha. You're asking for wife. V'hi mevakeshet ish. She's looking for husband. Nishba Yetzer Hara chai Hashem. He made a promise to the Yetzer Hara that Hashem is forever. Lo yigaba. He didn't even touch her. LeRuth amar shechvi ata boker. And he said to Ruth, to lay over here until the morning. V'alav ne'mar mishle. He make the mishle to be what? Sustain and to activate on a mishle and a pasuk on him. 24:5. Gavar chacham Boaz. Ze Boaz otiot Boaz ve'ish dad ma'amitz koach. Boaz was ish dad. He was very consistent and precise what he was doing. Ma'amitz koach. He's able to control. Shegavar al yitzro b'shvuah. He's able to control his Yetzer Hara by swearing. Basifri parasha vayitchanan says following. Vayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavech hayom al levavecha. And we read this every day, 2 times a day, and 3 times in the Kriyat Shema. And he says, put these words on your heart. Amar Rabbi Oshea, im ro'eh adam yitzro yitgaver alav. Rabbi Oshea says, if you know your Yetzer Hara overpowers you, tzarich lashbi'ehu. You need to swear to him, and not to him, to Hashem, that you right now, sheken otam motzieh b'chol makom tzadikim mashbi'im neget yetzram. Tzadikim always challenging the Yetzer Hara. In which way challenging? Challenging does not mean they're challenging. They make a promise and a swearing in order to separate themselves from this sin. Avraham, to conquer him. Avraham hu omer, harimoti yadai el Hashem el elyon koneh shamayim va'aretz. Hashem, the one who is going to lift me up to the heavens and the earth. Im machud v'atzrach na'al. He says from the Avimelech, he did not took. What did it not took? He did not took a string.
Shoelace.
No, before the shoelaces, a string, a rope. Okay, until the shoelaces. Chazal explained to us because he says this. Mipnei ma zacha banim shela Avraham Avinu. What they married, the Jews had to put a tefillin. Tefillin. That represents what? The shoelaces that Avraham Avinu did not even take a shoelace from who? From the Avimelech. Boaz Omar Chai Ani Hashem. שכבי עד הבוקר, בדוד אמר חי אני השם כי אם יגפנו. ואלישע הוא אמר, חי אני השם, עמדתי לפניו אם ייקח. We have a Boaz, we have David HaMelech, we have Elisha. Each one of them made a what? Swearing that they're able to conquer the Yetzer Hara. So from here we learn, but we sometimes what we do, we swear for nonsense. What do we swear for? For our gaiva. Siyag lechokhma shtika. Chazal says, you want to be chacham? Put a fence, have to keep your mouth shut. What does it mean? We're going to explain. כתב רבנו עובדיה ברטונורה, we talk about רבנו עובדיה, אין מדובר בשתיקה ברכילות ולשון הרע. אין מדובר, he says, we not talk about לשון הרע, or tattletale? Huh? Tattletale. Goes over here, you know he said something about you. Goes over here, you know he said something about you. Okay? Making a fire, right? Jankanozi, how you say this in English?
Yeah.
Instigator. דאורייתא ננהו, מדובר בשתיקה, מדובר רשות שבין אדם לחברו. Chazal says, you have to be careful between your fellow Jew friend, how you speak to him. שיש לו למעט דברים בהם כל מה שאפשר. The less you speak, the better it is. כי רוב דברים לא יחדל פשע. Because the people speaking, they're able to come to the criminal cases. לכן אומר שלמה המלך, King Solomon, משלי 17:28. אביל מחריש חכם יחשב. A person is he says, יחרש, חרש. Death. Okay? He says, once a person speaks, you would know how smart and how he's not smart, which is stupid. But once he sits quiet, we're all thinking that he's a what? Genius. He's a genius. Right? Once he opens his mouth, that's what becomes, that's what all the problems become. וכתב מרן חידה פתח עיניים, מרן רבי חיים יוסף דוד אזולאי, שזה מואר על פי מה אמרו בשוחר טוב, שמדובר דברים ביטלים יוצאים מליבו כנגד דברי תורה. He says he's speaking nonsense all the time and day, it's against the Torah. משל, לחביד מלא דבש, על כל גדותיו הרביעית מים, שהכנס לתוכו יוצא כנגדו רביעית דבש. He says, remember how we used to eat, how we used to drink. Now he gives the Rashi and Tosafot, Rambam, Rosh and Rif, Pirush, a commentary, how much he ate and how much he drank, and that's all we remember. And nothing else. Rekanut. Emptiness, pochazim. Emptiness, it's not so bad. But it's so disgusting that you cannot hear it. Okay, Rabbi, what kind of conversation we're supposed to have? When we have Hai b'divrei Torah, tidabbiru. When we speak in Torah, we should speak all the time. This, all the same thing. Ma lasot. What are we supposed to be talking about? If you know Torah enough, you're going to always involve yourself in the questions and answers in the Torah. נכנס לו תוכו כנגדו רביעית דבש, לכן אמרו סייג לחוכמה שיטות תצא חוצה שתיקה. He says, סייג לחוכמה, you want to be wisdom, you want to have a knowledge? Quiet. But when it comes to the Torah, you could speak as much as you want. נעים ישמור חוכמה בבטנו. He says, make sure the חוכמה stays in your stomach. במדרש רבה שיר השירים פרשה א', סימן כ"א, כוס מלא שמן בידיך, נפל לתוכו טיפת מים. He says, he gives an example. He says, you have a cup that is full of oil, and the water falls inside the oil. What happens? יצנע כנת טיפת, כך נכנס דבר של הליצנות ללבו. He says, that's how the ליצנות, a clownness, scorners, that comes to his heart. יצא כנדו דבר של התורה, כתוב עוד חידה. אמור סייג לחוכמה שתיקה, ולא אומר שתיקה סייג לחוכמה. He says, the fence for the knowledge is quietness. He did not say the quietness is defense for the chokhmah, for the wisdom and knowledge. כמו שאמרה בשאר הדברים, שמעתי מפי רבי חיים ברסלב, בשלם הכל אשר לשם מעשה, כגון מעשרות סייג לאושר. He says, if we said it before, the Mishnah said, you want to become rich? give maaser. מפרשים מעשה זוכה לאושר. הן נדרים נודרים במקום מעשה. A person does nether, promise swearing, in order for him to do whatever to stay away from his יצר הרע. עקימת שפתיים הם מעשה. When a person speaks, that's like doing a deed. והיה סייג לפרישות. A person stay away from these things. What kind of things? שתיקה הוא בשב אל תעשה, יש זמן צריך לדבר. We have a time when we need to speak. וצריך להתחכם בסוד העתים. A person needs to control his thoughts and speeches in all different times. עד לחשות ועד לדבר. There's a time to sit quiet. There's a time where we need to think. There's a time we need to talk. But we talk anyways. It doesn't make a difference. Just da 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 da. It doesn't make a difference. Sometimes quiet, it's okay. Sometimes you have to think. Sometimes you have to speak. It's okay. It's okay if somebody did not hear your de'ah, which just means your opinion. It's okay. Okay? לכן אמרו סייג לחומה שתיקה. That's what the Chazal says. האם בכתבי מגיד מדובנה. He says, you want to have a siyag, you have a fence. שתיקה. You have the time to think and to have a chokhmah. But when it comes to the Torah, tzedek tidabberun. All the time you could speak. All the time. יהיה רצון שהקדוש ברוך הוא ישפיע לנו שפע, ברכה, עושר והכבוד בעזרת השם. Thank you for coming. שיהיה רצון, ששון ושמחה, סייג לטוב, סייג ל-what? For the שתיקה זה החוכמה, סייג לעושר זה מעשר. So we're able לקיים מה שכתוב בתורה. We're able to do, perform, ולעשות, and spread the Torah of Hashem to the whole world. וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. לקיים.
What button? What button can I press?